everybody, welcome back to Record-ology, and welcome into the illustrious and spacious Record-ology studios. So glad you're there. Today, we're going to be taking a look at a turntable, a record player, not a turntable, a record player that I picked up recently for like 20 bucks. It is this DJ SP-30 is the model. It is a kid's record player, definitely a beginner unit, but a vintage one. Thought we would take a look. You're not going to want to miss this. Do you ever go off on wild tangents when it comes to equipment or things you're interested in? I certainly do. And a couple weeks ago, I went off on one such tangent in the world of vintage portables, specifically cheapo little plastic, very, much beginner level stuff, just because they're compact, they're usually cheap cost-wise, and even if they're cheap quality-wise, it makes for something interesting. So I picked this guy up for $20-ish, 25 bucks, and it was bigger than I thought when it arrived, because I did order it online. And the first thing I thought, what are you thinking about when you look at this already right off the bat? Does it remind you of something we've looked at before? Perhaps this is my 1978 Fisher-Price record player. This is an 825. This is the 825 Fisher-Price. And this is like pretty much the exact same one I had as a kid. Mine was a different physical one. I picked this up a few years ago for purely nostalgic reasons. I think it's a really cool unit. And we've looked at a few functional record players for kids made, or sold, I should say, by Fisher-Price. And they are rugged, they're functional, and they're simplistic, and they're very, very cool and extremely nostalgic for a lot of people, myself included. Mine came from a garage sale back in the day. So this is like 1978. Based on, the family resemblance here, I'm going to guess that the DJ is also like, between 77 and like 83. I would say somewhere around that range. Further, I would say that, even the color's a little different, but the idea is very, very similar. The design cues are similar. It's like a family resemblance. Like I said, I'm going to guess that whoever made this for Fisher-Price probably made that as well. That is a WAG, as they say. That's just an assumption, but it's likely, I would say. So let's take a look at this. I thought it'd be fun. I did, just basically make sure it works before I started filming, so we don't have a dud of a show. So it's not going to just be a piece of junk that doesn't work at all. That being said, I really was, a couple of minutes and, on to something else. So, we got the name kind of molded into the top. This very early 80s textured, kind of like a Naugahyde leather. I've had bench seats in cars that I grew up riding in that had the same texture. Carrying handle, it's completely portable. It is not battery operated. It is AC operated. They did make the Sesame Street player is battery operated, and that cracks me up because it's obviously a kid's player, and I've seen like old guys at record shows carrying those around to test records because it's actually a really good portable unit, and they're rugged. They're surprisingly rugged. So yeah, one little carrying handle here on the bottom. Doesn't even have rubber feet. It just has this molded section here. We've got a somewhat questionable power cord there with some duct tape. And up here, molded into the bottom of the model SP-30, caution, electrically operated product, etc., etc. DJ Corporation, Hallbrook, Massachusetts, made in the United States. And so the cord is wound around these two posts down here. Look at this interesting receptacle or area that this cord is coming out of. Isn't that bizarre? Very, very interesting. And then there's not even really a cable run, so to speak. Just, the fact that these areas right here are raised provides a little gap for the cord in the back. So we'll plug that in here in a minute to the power supply off camera. And the latch here is just literally a piece of plastic that bends. I mean, there's no proper hinge. It's just like a little tab. Good grief. And for some reason, it's... Okay, there we go. Kind of hard to open. So big reveal, although not really because you saw the thumbnail. But look at this thing. This is so cool. This very much looks to me like it must be made by the same company. Now I'm having a problem with it. Okay, the cable wasn't wanting to lay flat there. So even the box that this came in bears a strong resemblance to the Fisher-Price box that one came in, as you can see here. But look at this thing. It's, you know, plastic platter. It's got that similar mechanism in the middle. The 45 adapter just rotates up into position so it can't get lost. And that's genius, because if it was separate, I guarantee you it wouldn't exist to this day with this set. It would be totally lost by now. The branding here, super cool as well. I love the orange, the red. You know, I'm sure this is harvest gold. You know, all this, the colors and design elements of the 70s. The brown, the cream. So much of life were in those colors here. So it is a rim drive turntable. We'll open it up and take a look at it. The platter is interesting because, I'm going to zoom in a little bit here so you can see this. It's so like all rim drive turntables. Sorry, the focus is a little wonky. Like all rim drive turntables, the platter is hollow, and there's a wheel inside that's, you know, rotating the platter. It's not belt driven. It's not direct drive. It is a rim drive, and so we'll take a look and see what kind of condition that's in. The giveaway is this: whenever you see a record player with power, or I should say a speed control switch like this, then you know that it is a rim drive. This is a 2-speed record player, 33 and 45, and it does have a neutral position, which is good. I'll show you why in a minute. But a moment of appreciation for this beautiful branding here, special edition. Looking over here, we've got the knobs. It'll be an on and volume knob and a tone control. Everybody loves a tone control. Boy, do I get the comments every single video. This should have a tone control. This one does, my friends. This one does. Here is the very basic but interesting tone arm. It has this holographic sticker down here in the head shell area, which is pretty groovy. I think that's very, very cool. A little stub here that functions as a lift. And this is totally a janky spring mechanism. This is not quite working right, this tone arm. It functions, but when I say janky, you'll see what I mean in a minute. There's not a counterbalance. It's just, you know, I think it's the weight that this particular cartridge requires. So what cartridge does it have? Let's take a look. Okay, so there is the cartridge. I'm not sure what type it is. Please let me know in the comments. I'm sure you guys have identified it right away. What I can tell you is that the stylus is present. When I'm buying a record player in a situation like this, in a used shop, where I can physically see it before I purchase it, I will gently feel the cartridge to see if there's a needle there. It doesn't do any damage to gently touch it. And this one is, you know, it's still there. I'm sure it needs an upgrade or a change out, but it does work. Again, I did get sound out of this. The tone arm is hollow, as you can see there. The wires are run right on the underside of that tone arm. I got a dust bunny off of that stylus that was probably 50 years old or nearly. I guess it'd be more like 45, 46 years old worth of dust coming off there. Even just now, taking my carbon fiber brush, cleaning that out. And here is the fancy rest. It just fits down in this little opening right there, and it holds it just fine. Like I said, the tone arm's got some issues. There's way too much movement forward and back on the, I wouldn't even call it a bearing in the back there. You'll see it closer in a minute. But depending on if I push it too far back, it won't fit. If I pull it forward, then it does. There's a bit of a closer look at that fancy dancy hologram there. Okay, so here is what I would normally consider, you know, the gimbal of a record player. As you can see, it's a piece of white plastic with a spring. And that's about it. It looks like something might have broken off the back here. And there, like I was saying earlier, there's way too much movement. It's just like, you know, pivoting on this thing. It's super janky, but it works. I mean, it does physically work, but yeah, that's that. Also, while we're back here in this angle, you can see the speaker opening. So it's just a mono speaker. There's no headphone jack. There's no audio outputs. You can't connect this to anything. Wouldn't it be wild if somebody did a Bluetooth mod to this? That'd be kind of wild. But yeah, just a little speaker there. So once that speaker goes, you know, you're cooked unless you replace it. And a bit of a closer look at the speed switch down there. Let's go ahead and take the platter off and have a look underneath. Okay. So the first thing we're going to do is make sure this is unplugged, which it is. And we're going to get this off first. We're going to kind of squeeze these little tabs here, and it comes right off. Interesting little clip there. Interesting little clip here holding things together. You just literally grab this little piece of metal and lift it over the plastic, and it will stab through your fingers. So you may want to use a screwdriver. That's what I'm doing now. I learned the hard way. That's the way I learn almost everything, is the hard way. But it's effective, right? Okay, so what looked so simple is taking me a little bit longer than I thought. I think if I just, here we go, get it right over the edge there. Deceptively simple. Okay, so now we've got that little clip off and we can lift the platter straight off. And what we're hoping for here is that the rubber is in good condition and it's not flat on one side. So I'll go ahead and lift this off. First peek at the platter, nice and clean. It's an interesting color and it's coming across on camera pretty accurately. It's sort of a, it's not quite orange. It's different than this kind of burnt orange, or I should say harvest gold. Or was that burnt orange? Was it harvest gold was yellow? So what was burnt orange? I think it was called burnt orange. Anyway, it's a little bit different. It kind of looks like tomato soup. All right, enough of that. Here is the mechanism itself. So we've got a metal plate right here. There's where that power cord comes through. So what we saw was the bottom side of this. And all you're going to have underneath here is going to be some minimal circuitry. Obviously the power supply, and you're going to have the speaker and whatnot. But the action of spinning it up happens right here with this idler drive, or rim drive. It's all the same thing. And if I move this position, you can see exactly how this works. It moves it away from and towards the edge or the rim of the platter. So it's literally driving it by spinning the bottom like that. You'll notice also that in addition to going forward and back, it goes up and down. That's because it needs to make contact with the motor shaft at different positions along the way. You will notice that there's two different diameters to that motor shaft. And that pole right there, that shaft is connected directly into the motor. And if I put it into neutral, right here, it's really not quite touching it. So the idea is that the rubber doesn't get flat on one edge from sitting there for years, and there's not really any tension placed against it. But if I put it into position, let's go into 33, you will see it presses it firmly against that smaller size at the top. And from a gear ratio standpoint, that will equate to 33 RPM. And if I go to 45, it will make contact the wider part down there. And again, gear ratio standpoint, that will equate to 45 RPM. And it is really good that it has a neutral position, because not all of them do. That's something that you really, really want, because that rubber pressed up either against the shaft or against the platter for enough time will flatten it out. I like, look at this. They put like a metal ring in there, sort of a metal sleeve. So I like that. Again, this company, whoever it is behind these Fisher-Price and DJ units, there is a pride of workmanship there. And even on something that's, for kids only. Oops, I forgot the dang clip. I always do stuff like that. How many people are watching saying, he forgot the clip? So I need to get that back on. I'll put it back together off camera. Okay, let's play some records. How about that? So I've got a couple interesting records here. This is Emil's telegraphic transmission device. This is a 33 RPM record. So I'm going to select 33, and I'm going to place the, look at that, how it just kind of falls a little bit there. But it works, physically works. Now let's play the tone control a little bit. So I'm going to turn it one way and then another. Doesn't make a huge difference, but I kind of put it back to a neutral position. When you take the stylus on and off, because there's so much movement, sometimes it scratches a little bit. That's a bit annoying. Okay, everything we've tried so far has been just a little 7-inch record, but can it accommodate a 12-inch record? So Clearly the record would cover up the speed selector switch. So we need to do that first. Actually, no, 33 is what I want. And then I think we'll be able to reach the on and off there. So here is a rainbow bright picture disc. I think this is period perfect. And it looks like, yeah, that does fit. There's room back here. There's room around here. And we can put our tone arm up there. And I can even reach the knob there. So, yeah. Absolutely. So it can play 12-inch or 7-inch records. But I think the real bread and butter for something like this would be the famous book and record. As you can see, that famous logo in the corner, book and record sets were great. Although I will have to say this, by the 80s when I was experiencing something similar, it was book and tapes for the most part, but book and records sort of started it all. So without further ado, let's listen to a little Star Trek 3.
Search for Spock. You can read along with me in your book. You will know it is time to turn the page when you hear the communicator beep, like this. Let's begin now. Space, the final frontier. These are the continuing voyages of the Starship Enterprise. After his battle with the criminal Khan, Admiral James Kirk and his crew brought the battle-scarred USS Enterprise back to Earth for repairs. Captain's personal log. We're nearly home, yet I'm uneasy. The ship feels empty since the death of my friend Mr. Spock. And ship surgeon McCoy has been acting strangely. At times he seems to believe that he is Spock. An alarm rang on Commander Chekhov's console.
Admiral, this is impossible.
Fun fact, whenever you see an image of James T. Kirk portrayed by William Shatner, that image has to be approved by Shatner directly. So all the book covers for all the countless Star Trek books, any depiction of him, I don't know if it applies to photographs, but any artistic representation of him has to be approved by the man himself. So yeah, obviously it's not a hi-fi unit. I mean, this isn't where you're going to go listen to the, highest resolution audio, but it's really well suited for spoken word. I mean, the way that the speaker is sort of mid-rangey, sort of harsh, and the cartridge as well, it's not like super high fidelity or even slightly high fidelity. All of this really lends itself to a down and dirty, book and record type of player. And yes, it plays music as well. So for the kid, for like the pre-teen that this was targeted towards, this would really fit the bill. And it's rugged. They make these things rugged. And the way you can tell that is the fact that they're still around. There's so many from this era, and I believe by this company, still around to this day because they were built so well. All right, my friends, and that is going to do it. Thank you as always for joining me. So much fun to dig into this. What I want to know from you is, number one, did you have something similar? Let me know down in the comments. And then also, do you like seeing these types of players, these kind of lo-fi kids players, portables, things of that nature? All right, so we've got so much planned for the near future. There's all kinds of stuff coming your way, including turntable reviews, product reviews, testing, how-to videos, history videos, and everything in between, and a few surprises that will be revealed shortly. I cannot wait to share those with you. Don't forget our merch, our custom adapters, all that fun stuff. Mostly a thumbs up and a follow if you haven't done so already would be most appreciated, my friends. Thank you so much for being there. Happy record hunting, and we'll see you next time.